Bigot allegedly censored Jungkook's family name in documentary production. Armies are furious. Is this a simple production decision, or a calculated erasure of Jungkook's roots? Why would anyone want to hide the name that raised the Golden Magne? A storm has quietly been brewing behind the polished scenes of what was meant to be a heartfelt tribute to BTS's legacy. When fans tuned in to preview footage from an upcoming BTS documentary, set to chronicle their journey from trainees to global legends, they expected to be met with nostalgia, honesty, and emotion. Instead, they found something missing, something important, something sacred. Where was Jungkook's last name? Not omitted once, not blurred in passing, but consistently, deliberately, and chillingly absent from multiple sections that referred to his early life, his family background, and his origins before BTS. Coincidence? Oversight? Or something far more intentional? Within hours of the footage airing, eagle-eyed armies across the globe took to forums, fan sites, and social media platforms to raise the alarm. Screenshots began circulating, timestamps marked. Posts with titles like, "Why is Bigot erasing Jeon?" and "Jungkook's last name gone without explanation" flooded Twitter. The hashtags #RespectJeonFamily and #WhyCensorJKFamily skyrocketed into worldwide trends in less than 12 hours. But this time, it wasn't just online outrage. There was something colder beneath the rage. Something more personal, more painful. Fans weren't just angry, they were heartbroken because to them, this wasn't just about a name. It was about identity, about legacy, about the subtle, creeping fear that even after all Jungkook has given, his voice, his youth, his soul, his past might be something the company would rather keep off camera. Why now? And why him? Let's not forget, Jungkook is not just a member of BTS. He is the youngest, the one who entered the industry still carrying the scent of home, the one who once cried in interviews when speaking of his parents' support, the one who always made it clear that his family was his strength. TOC that erased, edited out of something that was supposed to honor his journey, has left a wound that goes far deeper than most realize. What exactly was censored? According to early viewers who had access to the unreleased cut of the documentary, Jungkook's origin story was oddly vague. Where other members had montages of childhood, scenes with family names mentioned on screen, warm testimonials about upbringing and support systems, Jungkook's segment was cold, clinical, empty. No last name. No mention of Jeon, not even in subtitles when he reportedly said it aloud. And then came the whisper networks. Whispers that this wasn't an accident. Whispers that during production meetings months ago, senior staff had requested a more streamlined narrative for Jungkook's part of the film. That family content was too sensitive. That some external tensions made it safer to downplay his background. What tensions? Some suspect this connects to the recent controversy involving his mother's access being allegedly restricted from the HYBE building. Others believe this is tied to internal discussions about the band's image post-military service, with rumors swirling that the company wants to reintroduce BTS with a more curated, brand-driven identity. If this is true, then the question becomes disturbing. Was Jungkook's family name removed for branding? And if so, what does that mean for the rest of him? To many fans, this crosses a line that should never have been approached. BTS was built on the foundation of realness, of boys who cried on stage, who showed their pain, who shared their past. The group didn't rise to fame through manufactured image alone. They soared because they invited us in. Now, it feels like a door is being shut at a door back to where Jungkook came from, to the roots that made him who he is. The backlash has been swift and brutal. Letters have poured into HYBE's official email inbox, demanding explanations. ARMY fanbases from Korea, Japan, the US, and Brazil have begun joint campaigns. Fans are even threatening to boycott the documentary's release if the edits are not reversed. One viral thread read, "If you delete his last name, you delete his soul." We're not watching a Jungkook made in a boardroom. We're here for Jungkook, the boy who walked into Big Hit with a dream and gave us everything. No official comment has been made by HYBE as of yet. But silence, in this case, is its own answer. The longer they wait, the louder the suspicion grows. And behind the scenes, there's growing fear that this may only be the beginning. Some are now wondering, was this the first instance of erasure, or simply the first one we caught? And as more armies rewatch old content with a sharper eye, something unsettling has started to emerge. Was this erasure of Jungkook's family name just a one-time misstep? Or were there signs hiding in plain sight all along, camouflaged behind the glitter of carefully edited content and calculated branding decisions? In fan-uploaded interviews from as far back as 2019, Jungkook had occasionally referenced his parents with clear emotion. His voice would soften. His tone would shift. He would share details about his childhood in Busan, of how his mother made sacrifices, how his father taught him to stay strong. But in more recent official releases, those moments seemed to shrink, disappear. The boy who once proudly spoke of his parents became quieter, more guarded, and now we ask, was that change natural maturity, or enforced silence? A senior editor, speaking under anonymity, reportedly claimed that editorial directions for Jungkook's solo content included avoiding emotional references that do not serve the main brand tone. Those words are vague, yet they sting with implications. What does it mean to say a young man's roots don't serve the brand? If a documentary about their rise cannot show where they came from, then what exactly is it trying to portray? That very question is now at the heart of global discourse. And the longer it goes unanswered, the more explosive the speculation becomes. Korean news outlets have been strangely quiet, raising eyebrows. International media, meanwhile, are beginning to catch on. Blogs, K-pop analysts, even entertainment critics unaffiliated with a fandom have started asking, why is the family name Jeon being erased at this point in Jungkook's career, especially now, when BTS is fragmented due to military service and the future remains so uncertain? It's almost poetic, in a tragic way. The very boy who used to shout, "Jeon Jungkook of BTS," with radiant pride in early behind-the-scenes videos is now being subtly reshaped into a shadow of himself. A perfect idol. Untouched, unrooted, unattached. But fans are not buying it, and they're not staying silent. Large-scale petitions are already gaining traction. One, titled, "Restore Jeon Jungkook's Identity in All BTS Content," has surpassed 1.2 million signatures in under a week. Global fanbases are drafting open letters, not just to HYBE, but to global press outlets, demanding transparency. Others are taking a more investigative approach, analyzing footage frame by frame, attempting to pinpoint where and how editorial cuts were made. This isn't just fan curiosity anymore, it's digital forensics. But what if it's too late? Some are beginning to ask harder, darker questions. What if this documentary edit was merely the result of a deeper fracture, one that has been growing between Jungkook and the company for years? A fracture that began when Jungkook started expressing more autonomy, when he asked to choose his own production team, when he reportedly declined certain script suggestions for his solo interviews, when rumors spread that he'd expressed discomfort with how his solo career was being framed, not as an extension of himself, but as a controlled brand asset. What if the erasure of his family name wasn't just about brand alignment, but about power, about control, about silencing the parts of Jungkook that the company no longer wanted the world to see? If this theory holds even a grain of truth, it brings everything into question. Every documentary, every behind-the-scenes special, every official interview. How much of what we've been shown is real? How much of it was Jungkook? And how much was just a version sculpted to fit a corporate narrative? And then, inevitably, the spotlight turns to Jungkook himself. Where is he in all this? Why hasn't he spoken up? The heartbreaking answer may lie in a quiet, unconfirmed quote, reportedly overheard by someone close to him during his final days before enlistment. "They'll never let me talk about my family the way I want to," he allegedly said. "I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to thank them in the way they deserve." That quote alone has sent ARMY into a spiral of emotion, because it confirms the one thing many have feared for years, that behind the perfect smile, the flawless performances, and the endless professionalism, Jungkook may be silently battling to hold on to the pieces of himself that matter most. But he's not alone, and the world is watching. If there is one thing BTS has taught their fans, it's the power of truth, the power of vulnerability. and the power of standing together when the truth is at risk, which is why fans are now standing not just for Jungkook, but for Jungkook, for the name that raised him, for the family who shaped him, and for the legacy that deserves to be shown in full, not edited, not redacted, not erased. Because if a boy can give his youth to the world, the least the world and the company can do in return is allow his name to live freely. To let it echoed, to let it be remembered. As the storm intensifies, many are asking what this means for the future of Jungkook and BTS as a whole. Is this the first visible crack in the seemingly unbreakable bond between BTS and their fans? Or is it a symptom of deeper tensions brewing behind closed doors at HYBE? The stakes could not be higher. Jungkook, who has long been viewed as the golden magne, a beacon of talent, humility, and dedication, now finds himself at the center of a controversy that transcends entertainment. The alleged erasure of his family name is not merely a branding decision. It touches on identity, legacy, and the very human need to be recognized for one's roots. Fans remember how Jungkook's upbringing in Busan shaped him, how his family's unwavering support fueled his dreams, how his mother's sacrifices were the foundation of his success. To see that history blurred out feels like a betrayal, a denial of the man behind the idol. Social media channels have erupted. Hashtags like #RestoreJeon and #LetJungkook trend globally, with armies sharing heartfelt messages about the importance of family and authenticity. Some fans have even reached out directly to HYBE with pleas to acknowledge Jungkook's roots in official content. But HYBE's silence has been deafening, in a rare move. Insiders have hinted that this issue is far from isolated. The agency's increasing focus on strict brand control and image management has reportedly left many artists feeling constrained and unheard. Jungkook's case might be the most high-profile example, but whispers of similar treatment for other members have begun to surface, raising uncomfortable questions about the cost of fame within such a tightly controlled system. And what about Jungkook himself? Sources close to the singer say that the young star is caught in a painful dilemma, torn between loyalty to his fans, love for his family, and pressure from an agency that prioritizes corporate interests above all else. His recent public appearances show a man more reserved, less carefree, as if carrying the weight of these invisible battles on his shoulders. Could this internal struggle explain some of the cryptic posts and subtle messages Jungkook has shared on social media lately? Messages that fans interpret as calls for understanding, for patience, or perhaps even for change. More importantly, what will happen next? Will Jungkook find the strength to reclaim his full story, to show the world not just the idol, but the son, the brother, the young man who built his career on passion and perseverance? Or will the company's tightening grip continue to silence the parts of his life they deem inconvenient? This saga raises a vital question for the entire K-pop industry. At what cost do agencies chase perfection? And how much longer can idols like Jungkook maintain a facade that hides the complexities of their true selves? For now, fans remain hopeful. They believe in Jungkook's resilience. They believe in the power of truth and love. And they are watching closely, ready to support him through every step of this difficult journey. Because this story is more than just entertainment news. It is a human story, a story of identity, of family, of courage in the face of overwhelming odds. And it is far from over. Will Jungkook's name be fully restored in BTS's legacy? Will HYBE respond to the growing outcry? And most importantly, will Jungkook find peace in a world that often demands perfection at the cost of authenticity? Only time will tell, but one thing is clear. The world is watching, and the story of Jungkook is still being written.